my voice is not as like his, so I'm not going to try and compete to that. It's indeed a pleasure for me to be here to share with you what we do in the department where I work now. I've been everywhere. Today we'll just focus on what we do in infrastructure. I just have a bit of time constraint, which Nondumiso is aware of, which I have to dash to the airport. The important thing, what I've observed over the past 10, 15 years in South Africa is the fact that we have very few entrepreneurs. We've got a lot of people who are trying to do this. They wake up every morning. Others want to have shares in Old Mutual, and they go and borrow money to have shares at Old Mutual, and it's great. They have shares in this and this and that. And I don't call those kind of activities entrepreneurial activities which will take South Africa to the next level. It's simply about some sharing of the existing resources, redistribution in one form or the other from one person and sharing with the other people who may not have them in the past. Of course, they expose them financially and all of that. But we're lacking entrepreneurs, and I'm hoping that Nondumiso, the work you're starting to do using your reign as a woman of the way, and congratulations for that. And I don't think that people are voted Women of the Year just by accident, because you've demonstrated yourself that you can stand the test of time in business and to where you are today. And I hope that the fact that you've decided through your reign, during your reign, to organize a summit like this, people are going to learn and take leave from what you are doing. So successful entrepreneurs, in my view, are people who really do what Sigelela is doing. And I came across Sigelela when I was in health and all of those things. And this is a company that has signed a contract with Philips in Germany that will be your distributor in South Africa, whatever, and of your medical equipment and all of those things. Of course, Siemens being, or not Siemens, Philips being a typical multinational company, they'll do everything and anything to screw up the small person and to eat up as much margins as possible. But it takes a bold entrepreneur to tell Philips what to do and how they want to work with them and all of those. So I'm not saying they've succeeded in getting Philips to get them to do what they want them to do, but the fact that they continue to work with them, it's something that really must be commended on. And I think what really I like to see in South Africa going forward, we import all of those equipments. No single equipment that we use in our public hospitals or private hospitals are made in South Africa, with the exception of Lodox, which was also designed for the mining industry, De Beers in particular, to detect workers, to search workers when they leave work, as to say whether they've got diamonds or not. And as a result, now they decided that this is very successful. Why can't it be used in the medical space? And I think we've started rolling out those. There's quite a few of them in the country. Other than the Lodox that has been designed in South Africa and manufactured here, all the medical equipment from anything and everything is done overseas. If you've got successful entrepreneurs, people who really want to establish themselves, and there's an opportunity for people to establish manufacturing capacity in South Africa and begin to take these multinational companies. That's what I call real entrepreneurs, who see an opportunity and find themselves a niche and be able to enter there and say, I'm going to make this and stay the course. Of course, business is not easy. It requires you to have resilience. It requires you, sometimes you're going to lose money, sometimes you're going to really make a lot of enemies, but be determined that I'm going to make my business success. So in the space where I work, of course, there's an infrastructure work that must drive a lot of job creation. There's a lot of money that the president announced that they talk about trillion or so, or 800 and something billion rands that is attributed to infrastructure. In Gauteng, we talk about 30 odd billion or so money that we're going to spend in the next MTF on infrastructure. But it does not, I would not give those contracts to people who do not know what they're doing. We need to give the contract, the value of this contract, to people who know what it means to put up electrical connection in a building when it is being built. Not someone will say, well, I'm going to build a hospital for you, and they don't even know that the theater lights are supposed to be structured in a particular manner. When some of the things that I've seen currently, you've heard yesterday Themba Godi walking into Zola Hospital and saying this hospital has taken so much time and all of those things is because the contractors, sometimes we appoint, I've got my own theories why we appoint oh, inadequate or companies that are not in keeping with the jobs that they are supposed to be delivering and all of this. So, but today is not time for those theories. What is important is that when you appoint a company, you are appointed as a company, be honest and say, MEC, I can deliver this billion worth of a project. I have the capacity without having difficulties. Currently, we've got projects where someone is given a project for 1 million rand, 1 million rand, and they're struggling to deliver those projects. And some of them we having to every single day get involved in process of cancelling contracts and all of those. So what is really important, and through this summit and the fact that you all gathering here listening to very successful people, is to understand what it means to run a business, what it means to run a successful business which can stand the test of time. Whether government pays you in 30 days or not, but you should have enough liquidity to stand you the test of time, such that tomorrow when they're able to pay you, you know very well that your workers and all your other liabilities and all other things have you been able to meet those obligations without any difficulty. So the project that we're gonna be doing in the next and that we're designing or planning, of course everything depends on how much budget we have, but we are gonna be planning for those projects nonetheless. Is going to require to have a decent number of companies that are going to deal with those things. One of the challenges that is really forcing us to that is going to impact very significantly on black business is the fact that we have relationship, for instance, in the space where I operate. Otis, they do lifts, Schindler and all of those. Because we're trying to empower people, we then have a middle person who says, well, I'm going to deliver. We give you a tender, then they go and negotiate a contract with Schindler and all of those lift manufacturing companies. When the lift is delivered, the manufacturer has no responsibility of maintaining. The contractor who's been appointed has a responsibility to do. And a lot of things goes wrong, of course, within that process. We've taken a decision that we are going to work with the manufacturers directly, because particularly in the infrastructure program, because we're having difficulties of things not being maintained, of things not being kept up to standard and whatever. And on the basis of that, we've got to implement the incubation program that will enable you over a period of time to have the requisite skills to be able to stand on your own. And of course, that may not be very popular with many of us, but it's important. Incubation must not be seen as me stopping me from being successful, but it helps you to learn and understand from this person. It's like being mentored by someone who's been successful. Use every opportunity to learn from this person, so that when the time for this mentorship to say, now let go and be on your own, you would have learned as much as possible from this mentor. So that's going to be very important, and I thought it's important that I should mention this kind of thing. So of course, in the space of Gauteng, we're working with all other stakeholders, including SOEs. We coordinate very well with the private sector and all of those things. And one of the things we're trying to really work very hard is to ensure that our infrastructure delivery projects are not involving the cost overruns. As you might have heard, a project start with 200 million rand. By the time it's completed, we already spend about 1 billion rands or up to 1.5 billion rands or so, and all of those kind of things. And of course, late payment to service providers leads us to paying late, to pay interest and all of that. We can avoid those things by simply adhering and copying what is being done correctly so in the private sector. We're in a process of looking into those. So our responsibility as an infrastructure department is to really look at working with municipalities in the province, look at infrastructure holistically. Electricity, of course, Eskom is largely a dominant player in that space, but our responsibility is to make sure that we plan ahead, even for the future years in Gauteng, as to what citizens, what kind of infrastructure should be for this kind of population and for this kind of development that's going to happen. And we're working very well, as I said, with all SOEs and all of those. And of course, currently, one of the things that we're trying to do as we all normally hear in the media, that our public institutions are not well maintained, hospitals are not functioning very well. From an infrastructure point of view, we need to ensure that we institute disciplinary processes of ensuring that, or discipline mechanism of making sure that in a very systematic way we are able to comply with the statutory maintenance. That if a boiler is meant to be maintained in every 3 years, you don't wait for the last the 3 years and 1 day. You maintain it upfront, and maybe if a month before the lapse or the expiry date of that period and all of that. And I've seen it somewhere else in the world where the statutory maintenance is done such that people don't even know that the boiler has been maintained, don't even know that the lights have been switched, and have been there was time for a downtime for all of those things. Of course, some of our buildings have been declared, we've got a property portfolio which is very big. We've got private houses, we've got buildings and whatever, but half of the time we don't even know that we own the assets that are supposed to be in the state's control. We're currently cleaning up our database that has been done by different service providers over the years. Of course, critical to all of the things that we're doing is to ensure that we employ as many people as possible. And of course, as I said, part of what in doing away with the middle person and empowering and ensure that the principles of empowerment are also adhered to by getting incubation program to go on, is to ensure that the issues of employment like EPWP, people in a massive way are employed and skilled and educated and trained at the same time. Of course, key to all of these things is to ensure that all government buildings as well as the private sector adheres to the green agenda, out of ensuring that we've got the buildings that and just the look and feel of the green environment in the way we live. Of course, we've got these are the projects in the different areas of work. We do every infrastructure project in the province, from education to health to social development, old age homes and all of those things. And again, the difficulties sometimes is that we may have 500 projects, all of them going on at the same time, and we don't have as many project managers as possible. We are looking at a tool to monitor all of these projects that can be implemented simultaneously without having physically individuals being present there. The commercial there's a big commercial property space that we are active in when we are working with a number of stakeholders in that regard. Of course, the regeneration of our city centers. Those of you who've been to Washington or any other city, a major city, you'll see that government seat being simply the fact that you are a capital city plays an important role in the regeneration of any city. It's important, therefore, that when we look at the property portfolio, we look into the facility managers, how many are blacks, and what is their capacity, how do we empower them and ensure that they have a presence in the work that we do. Of course, and I know that there's a lot of big companies that are facility managers and all of those that are active in the portfolio space, but it's going to be important that, again, you've read that the people like Rushabang and them, they come and say to government, this is my building, and only to find that people are fronting for others. And we take serious offense when people are fronting for big companies. We keen to, that's why we're engaging with your SIB, you're engaging with your Babco, whatever. These are companies, these are organizations that have got registered members of people of players in the industry who are who see themselves as a critical players. In working through those and their database will enable us to ensure that we work with genuine people who understand the property industry across the board and all of that. So that's going to be very important. I said the regeneration of the city center is going to be important, and of course the government buildings plays an important role. And of course in the green space, this is the things that we want to do. I mean, the important thing that I really like much, which the Minister of Energy has said, Gauteng must focus on, because we've got difficulties with land. That's why there were solar farms projects are having difficulties to be approved by the Department of Environment. She said we must focus on the solar rooftops, which is largely a project that is being done in New York. So we're looking at companies working with the Department of Economic Development, companies that are going to produce and manufacture these solar rooftops in South Africa, which will give them an offtake agreement to ensure that all government public buildings are able to deliver, are able to be converted and retrofitted, and we generate energy from the roof to power the lighting and air conditions and all of those. But again, working with the builders, the building environment, people who regulate that space, is to ensure that our building regulations are changed such that any new building that is being constructed, there should be as much lighting as possible, natural lighting as much as possible, to avoid the reliance on the lighting as we know it, and all of those. Water harvesting is very important. I know that all of us live in very posh suburbs, and I don't want this green, this thing, what do you call the Jojo tanks behind my in my backyard. But it's gonna be really important if we want to really take this thing that Gauteng is or South Africa is a water scarce country. We've got to really think seriously about how do we use rainwater harvesting, but also we change our reconfigure our water bulk infrastructure, so that when we I went to Singapore a while ago, they don't throw any water away. They've got they harvest water from homes in all of the high-rise buildings in Singapore. All of those get into one gets back into the system. It is recycled and clean and gets back into the system. People are able to drink it, and in some places people are also able to clean the water from sewer and back into being clean, and are able to drink that water. So that we are going to get to that point. But as much as we can frown and not be happy about it, but we've got to think about it, because that's why we must, from an engineering point of view, are beginning to plan with municipalities as what is that we need to do. We're gonna go to Abu Dhabi. We're told there's the biggest grey water area that is being done. South Africa probably is the only country where we water gardens with fresh water. Other people use grey water to water the gardens. Here we simply water our gardens with fresh water that is drinkable. As much as we've got the number, Joburg has got the ranked number three safest water to be drunk from the tap in the world. I think Ekurhuleni has joined that the top 5 rank. It's great, but it doesn't mean that water must be used for watering our gardens. We need to look at the grey water. We need to look at the rainwater harvesting. That's why these Jojo tanks are going to be important. When we build schools going forward, we're going to make sure that all of those things are being implemented. And 9 schools that we're starting to build now, we're going to complete them next year. We're going to incorporate all of these principles, including lighting, so that school cannot rely on the normal sources of energy for lighting, because the municipalities hit them hard with the electricity bills and all of those. Of course, we've got to make sure that in the townships, in the main, people are able to utilize when your tap is broken, fix it. Because the more leakage you have in your tap, the more you're causing difficulties in this thing. And I'm sure those of us who drive in the township from time to time, you'll see a lot of water gushing everywhere, whether it's a burst pipe or it's a burst sewer and all of those things. You must always ask yourself as to, if this water has been, I found it here like now, how long has it been going on like this? And when you dare to pick up a phone and call a municipal official, when they respond, probably it will be 2-3 hours later. And how much losses or revenue would have they lost if they would have attended this problem much earlier? So those kind of things of dealing with the basic infrastructure that supplies bulk, including electricity, is going to be very important in all of that. Of course, the important thing there is that we need to work with them. Women contractors and give them a lot of good work. I must say that where you've got a decent women contractor who've got a level, CIDB level 8 or whatever, those women contractors are very good and very, very resilient, and they do a lot of good work, and their projects are on stream, on time, and you never experience the number of difficulties that you have. And I think we're going to really try and focus on working with women contractors, women-owned construction companies. Then, of course, we're not going to discriminate against male-owned companies, but it's because we've seen that the women-owned companies are very diligent, and people take pride in the work that they do. And then again, it's going to be very important that we focus on those issues. We struggle, of course, from time to time with people with disability. On the property side, as I said, working with SIBIP, we're also working with BABCO. BABCO is an organization started by about 8 or so commercial black property owners that are simply looking in shopping malls, in getting leases from government on all of that. Just to say to you, government has a policy that if a building is owned by a black person 100%, we give you 10-year leases, a 10-year lease. If a building is owned 50% by a black person, we give you 51%, we give you a 5-year lease. If you only have a 25% or so shareholding, we give you a 2-year lease or so. So it's going to be very important for people who are active in the property sector to understand that when you come to us and you are simply a minority stakeholder, we're not going to give you a long-term lease. But if you've got a building is yours, we're going to give you a long-term lease. Yeah, this is just the CIDP grading as to what level of project and the level, the size of those projects. And what is really disheartening is to have someone who's in level 2 or level 3 of CIDP to tender for work that is level 5. And you definitely that person is not going to cope. And sometimes I know in the department where I work, people have been tenders have been issued to level 5, and they give it to someone who's level 2. These people says, MEC, clearly I cannot be able to deal with these things because I've got difficulties. My company, my capacity is not really structured for me to meet this kind of obligation. So in short, colleagues, I'm saying there's a lot of opportunities in the space where we are operating, or in government in general, but we are not really gonna embrace black companies that are simply are gonna give us a bad name, give shoddy work, and then come and go and report me somewhere else, because I'm not gonna key into that, go and report me somewhere else. If you tender in the department, tender on the basis that you have you are a genuine business person, and you are going to be able to deliver the services without relying on this thing. Because when you tendered, you did not go and report somewhere else first. You came to tender there, but when you've got difficulties to deliver, you go and report me somewhere else. Yes, you can go, but that's not going to help you anyway in the space that we're operating. So all I'm asking, colleagues, that take yourself seriously as business person. The opportunities are there. We're there to stand behind you. Malone would know when he was a Siemens working, well, Siemens at Philips working with Sigalela, we were able to embrace them, not because of anything else, but because the black agenda is important to be supported. But if we do not have a genuine black business people who are operating on good principles, there's really nothing I can do. I really cannot fight the cause. Because I'm not a business person, I'm a politician. My responsibility is to make sure that black business prosper and create that conducive environment, and ensure that officials do not treat you badly because you are a black company and all of those things. But if when you've been appointed, you do not adhere to this nobility of delivering projects on time, on scales, within budget, and sometimes surprises, and deliver the project less than the budget that has been budgeted for, even way ahead of schedule, you can do it. But I know that people always South Africans always wants to do the mediocrity things, and I want to do things in the last minute, and those things do not work. Thank you very much for the opportunity.